Japanese role-playing games, or just JRPGs for short, are a really interesting genre, and I like them a lot. If you've seen my videos before, you probably already know this. I like to reference games like Persona 5 an unhealthy amount of times, but today I want to talk about the genre as a whole. A lot of people are immediately turned off by JRPGs before they even play a single one. The genre is packed with stereotypes of complicated stories, incredibly complex mechanics, and not to mention lifeless, over-sexualized female characters who only exist so that you can play out your sexual fantasies. No, I'm serious. Conception 2, Children of the Seven Stars, PS Vita and 3DS. You meet some big anime titty girlfriends, get naked and hold hands to make fucking star children. Like, what the fuck? I mean, at least the battle theme's really good. I wish I didn't have to say this, but just keep in mind, this is my opinion about these games, alright? So just because I dislike the slow and complicated combat in Disgaea games doesn't mean you have to— Oh, we're really gonna do this again! Come on, I thought we went over this already! The thing about JRPGs is that if you can manage to get past all of this, you get some of this. Alright, but seriously, there are some truly incredible games that offer some of the greatest gameplay, stories, art design, characters, and music that I've ever experienced. There's so much diversity in JRPGs. You can fight evil monsters, hit the road and listen to some jams with your bros, and take finals. Note to self, being a high schooler is not a reason you should tell people to play Persona 5. People don't like school. I don't even like school. What am I talking about? For the purpose of this video, and because I don't have all the time in the world to talk about this stuff, I'm gonna stick to talking about three things: Nier Automata, No Kuni, and the Persona series. All of these games are incredibly engaging and unique, making them each stand out as some of my personal favorites in the genre. From simply a gameplay perspective, these games have so much to offer. Nier Automata has incredibly fluid and fast-paced combat. No Kuni is like if you were playing Pokemon, but after you befriend them, you can just play as the little goons. And Persona offers strategic turn-based combat, along with trying to get that hot doctor at the clinic down the street to go on a date with you.
Then it's just the two of us. Really? Then would you like a thorough examination?
You'll never see it coming.
Thanks to their length and style, JRPGs can contain some of the most amazing environments and storytelling. I mean, hell, most Persona games take the first hour or two just for exposition, and what you get most of the time is a beautiful world that you can sink into for anywhere from 20 to over 100 hours. It's a thing that video games as a genre really hold over movies, TV, or any other kind of entertainment. I mentioned this in my Celeste video, but they're incredibly immersive, and by giving control to the player, they can create experiences and feelings that you won't find anywhere else. This feeling is only amplified by the storytelling powers of a JRPG. These games are home to some of the most engaging characters and stories that I've found throughout all kinds of entertainment. Persona 3 brings to light the struggle of dealing with the death of loved ones and the constant reminder of one's own mortality. Nier Automata delves into existentialism and nihilism, and No Kuni made me cry like a little bitch when the main character lost his mom at the beginning of the game. Like, he's just a kid, you can't do this to me, come on. So to show off some of the greatest parts of JRPGs, I'm gonna talk about the aspects of each one of these games that really stood out to me when I played them.
So this is your world.
That's right. A whole nother world. Beautiful, innit?
Starting off with No Kuni, this game's art and musical direction are breathtaking. The developers used Studio Ghibli as their main inspiration, creating a colorful world filled with well-written characters that are enjoyable for both kids and adults, while also working directly with Studio Ghibli to create beautiful animated cutscenes and a soundtrack by one of Ghibli's main composers. For however many tens of hours you spend in this game's magical world, you get so immersed in the art direction and orchestral soundtrack that you forget you're playing a game. Your friend could be playing and just grinding out some levels, and it's like you're watching a movie in a theater.
Dude, can you pause for a sec? I gotta go pee.
Go right ahead, I've been just grinding for the last 30 minutes.
It's the best part of the movie, I don't want to miss it.
And I could honestly just make an entire video on this game's familiar system because it's definitely one of my favorite parts about the entire game. There's a super diverse cast of enemies that reflect the areas you find them in, and pretty much any enemy that isn't a boss can be befriended, leveled up, and evolved within No Kuni's adorable creature cage. You can feed your familiars different treats to raise their stats and affection, and many of them have paths to evolve on as opposed to Pokemon's mostly linear evolution trees. You then pair this system with a mix of real-time battles and moves movement along with JRPG strategy to get gameplay so entertaining that Ni no Kuni is one of the few JRPGs I'm actually playing through more than once. And when the familiars have names like Whippersnapper, Sleepy Fowl, and Taddlywink, how much better can you really get as a game? Next up, we've got Nier Automata. This game excels in pretty much everything, but for this segment, I want to talk about atmosphere and the feel of Nier's gameplay mechanics. The world of Nier Automata is barren yet memorable. All of the enemies are supposedly lifeless machines, yet they portray intense ideas about what it means to be alive and experience emotion.
Oh my god! Oh jeez, oh my god!
The map is engulfed in an overcast fog and filled with the few living survivors, and it feels like an open world game while simultaneously containing all of its locations and points of interest in relatively small and quickly reachable areas. This is paired with an incredibly somber and moving soundtrack to create a world that truly feels post-apocalyptic while simultaneously filled with the power and emotion of the game's story and characters. And don't even get me started on how good this game's story is, but if you just played through the game once and got ending A and thought you were done there, then just don't ever talk to me again. Okay, cool, you know, I'm really glad we're on the same page. So you take this beautifully crafted world, which I guess was my point about Ni no Kuni, but shut up, let me gush, alright? And then you throw in an incredibly fluid and fast-paced combat system. There's a little bit of strategy if you're playing on a harder difficulty or going for the post-game content with customizable power-ups, but for the most part, you just collect different types of weapons throughout the game and beat the shit out of a bunch of robots. And even though you're just mashing buttons most of the time, when you watch the animations and see the explosions and hear the music, you feel like the coolest robot assassin in the world. One of the gripes I have with games, as I felt in titles like Ni no Kuni 2, is the speed at which characters move. If you're gonna make me walk somewhere before I can fast travel, please make it feel fast or enjoyable. Because while in a game like Ni no Kuni 2, you do this little 1 inch per hour trot, you boot up Nier Automata and it's like fucking Eurobeat starts playing because you can just combat sprint. You can also fucking drift on a pig! Holy shit! Oh my god! This is such a small thing that I think goes overlooked by most players, but it actually makes me want to explore the world the developers created. I want to find new secrets and explore, and not just fast travel to nearby locations, because you can just fucking blast through the overworld. This game just does an incredible job at feeling good to play, and when you pair it with a tense and emotional atmosphere, you get a pretty damn memorable experience. And finally, to finish things off, we have one of my favorite games of all time, Persona 5. There is a metric fuck ton of things to praise about the Persona series, so it's very hard to pick just a few things to talk about. But since I've already talked about visuals, music, and gameplay with Ni no Kuni and Nier Automata, I'm gonna talk about what really makes Persona 5 stand as a unique experience atop the tower of JRPGs. The Persona series has a main feature that many JRPGs don't have, a high school life simulator. I know it sounds boring, but it's used to portray one of Persona's main themes about the importance of friendship and human connection in order to overcome life's hardships. In Persona 5, you can't just grind in a dungeon all day like a loner to get stronger and beat the bosses. Instead, you gotta make friends. Go out and be social. Oh god, sigh, gross, I know, right? You can improve your personas by grabbing a meal with your friend after school, helping your teacher make ends meet with a nighttime job, or allowing a super hot goth GF doctor to perform experiments on you before you decide that, yes, you are technically a high school student, and yes, she is an adult doctor, but I mean, love knows no bounds, you know what I'm saying? As you form social links with those you meet in Persona 5, you begin to learn about their lives and assist them in their struggles. It helps create a deeper connection with the characters the player wants to learn more about outside of the main storyline, and does a fantastic job at expanding on the game's world and immersion. But don't try to date all the girls at once or they'll kick your butt. You can also improve your stats like knowledge and charisma by performing well on exams, going around the town visiting areas like the bathhouse or the batting cages, or by reading books and playing video games. That's right. You can play video games in a video game. Holy shit. Micromanaging all these friendships and stats might seem like a pain, but it actually becomes this incredibly fun and addicting gameplay cycle where you're trying to schedule a date with that hot doctor while grabbing a bite to eat before you go to fight giant monsters in a big castle dungeon that threaten your very existence. Well, that's all I have to say about a few JRPGs without literally talking about each and every one of them for hours. Even if you aren't a fan of turn-based combat or anime-esque art styles, please give one of these games a try. They've been such incredible experiences that have impacted me in so many ways that I honestly just want to share them as much as possible. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe and leave a like and a comment letting me know what your favorite JRPG is. Man, I'm turning into a generic YouTuber. I gotta get out of here.